Hey everyone, Scott here to discuss Everybody Wants Some, starring Blake Jenner, Zoe Deutch, Tyler Hoechlin, Ryan Guzman, Wyatt Russell, and Glenn Powell, directed by Richard Linklater. Now, I remember going to theaters for this all excited because, hey, a new Linklater movie. Let's go watch this. And I love Zoe Deutch in general. And let's see if this is as good as I remember. Let's get into this movie. It's August 28th, 1980, when we first meet Jake Bradford, played by Blake Jenner, arriving at his college in Arizona 3 days before it starts, and he stays at a baseball house where he's introduced to McReynolds, played by Tyler Hoechlin. And this guy's a chameleon, as I first saw him in Road to Perdition, and in any other movie I've seen him in, he's very unrecognizable, as he meets McReynolds and also meets Roper, played by Ryan Guzman, as they razz on Jake for being the new pitcher. And he goes upstairs and meets Jay, played by Justin Street, Finnegan, played by Glenn Powell, Willoughby, played by Wyatt Russell, who's a stoner who reminds me of Leo the Dude Man in that '70s show, Dale, played by J. Quinton Johnson, fellow freshman Plummer, played by Temple Baker, and Jake's roommate Billy, aka Buter, played by Will Brittain, as Jake takes a ride with McReynolds, Plum, Finn, and Dale around campus to invite some girls into their house for a party, and they drive by Beverly, played by Zoe Deutch, and her roommate, played by Sophia Taylor-Alley, whom I've seen later in her career in Uncharted, the Tom Holland Mark Wahlberg movie that was not that great. As Beverly comes up to the car and says she likes the quiet guy in the back in the middle, who happens to be Jake. And I really like these characters, as I've seen some of them later in their careers, like Wyatt Russell, whose parents are Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russells, as he was in The Falcon and Winter Soldier. Glenn Powell, who was in a couple of other films from director Richard Linklater, as well as the upcoming Hitman. But he came to my attention in Top Gun Maverick, where he picked on Miles Teller in that film. And I've seen Zoe Deutch coming to my attention in Vampire Academy, but she's Lea Thompson's daughter. Come on. And these are relatable baseball players. And they get introduced to their coach, Gordon, and tell them to be responsible with the house and their choices, like no alcohol, no girls going upstairs and having sexual intercourse with them in the house. And the cinematography is pretty good in this movie, as director Richard Linklater is good at handling the camera. The guys go in a groovy place to dance on the dance floor and take them back to the house while being disobedient about bringing a couple of girls upstairs. And Jake goes up there to tell a couple of guys that a few of the guys are already breaking that rule, as he goes back downstairs to have sex in his car with a girl named Val. And we move on to Friday, August 29th, and Billy leaves the house and ditches the team because his girlfriend might be pregnant. And I don't believe he'll be back for the rest of the movie. I could be wrong. While they stop by campus to look at some of the ladies. And what was the point of Billy being here in the first place is beyond me. Maybe he'll come back later, I'm not sure, as I'm still a little early into the movie. And I was getting vibes from Dazed and Confused. It was a good 100, that was a good 100-minute movie, as this movie is almost 2 hours. It's a little bit too long, in my opinion. They go to the arcade and play some games like video games as well as sport games, and I'm having fun with the movie from start to finish, while McReynolds is the biggest asshole ever, with a couple of housemates look through Jake's record collection, and another checks out his clothes, and I think I know what's going to happen to one of the records. One of them takes it and might have a damn scratch on it, but we never see it for the rest of the movie, while they go to the groovy place called the Sound Machine. And one of the housemates gets all abusive all over a drink while the motherfucker is drunk, and one of the bartenders jumps over and tries to get him out of the way. He's talking and they ban his ass along with the other housemates, and they go to a different place to dance without the raw dog guy. I guess I'm going to call him the raw dog for the rest of the movie. I'm just going to say it now. As they send him home, and I like the writing in this, as it may not be Richard Linklater's best writing nor movie. They go to a country club and dance with the country girls, as we move on to Saturday, August 30th, and Jake and McReynolds play a little ping pong with McReynolds losing and acts like a fucking asshole about it to Jake, and walks out of the room. And we move on to Willoughby smoking a shit ton of marijuana, or as I like to call it, marijuana, out of a bottle along with Dale, Plum, and Jake, while Willoughby is stoned out of his fucking mind. And again, Leo from That 70s Show talks some nonsense about telepathic shit. While that felt hilarious to me, Jake, McReynolds, and a couple of others take a walk until a high school friend of Jake's named Justin invites the guys in for a beer, spend a little bit of time with Justin as they have a party planned for the night while they go to a rock concert, as this might have been cut out, as I'm led to believe 15 minutes of this movie could have been cut out, in my opinion. After the concert, Jake writes a note and gives some flowers and his number on Beverly's apartment door, and comes back to the house for the party, and Justin is there, and he was invited by Jake, and the party scene is a hell of a lot of fun to watch, as this movie is a good time from start to finish, like I said. Sunday, August 31st comes, and the house is trashed until Jake gets a call from Beverly and chats with her as she's a theater major, and they get to know each other in person because she doesn't like to talk on the phone for a long period of time. And they get to know each other, and he really likes her, and I like the chemistry between the characters, even Jake and Beverly, as they have good chemistry. They get frozen yogurt while hanging out, and we move on to the team meetup for baseball, where they practice playing the game as a team, and for some reason, Billy comes to practice, and while the Raw Dog pitches and has a big temper and tests McReynolds, McReynolds hits a home run against Raw Dog and tells Raw Dog to keep running his fucking mouth, and he does prove McReynolds' point, and I enjoy these scenes where the guys play baseball together as a team. Jake practices his throws, and he pitches to McReynolds and hits the ball, and they end by playing a little game called Hit the Freshman with the Baseball while stuck on tape, which is typical high school or college students, and they swim in a lake, and I liked how realistic it is. They have some dinner together, and we hear Willoughby is gone from the team and is 30 years old, and Willoughby isn't really his name, and he has been going from college to college selling some drugs to students, and Dale calls out Jake for not inviting his housemates because he believes they'll be bored at a party where it's filled with theater actors, telling the guys to come with him to the theater party, where Beverly invited Jake, and they go together and see Beverly dressed up like Alice from Alice in Wonderland, as she's a blonde. Well, not the character, but it's a wig. Moving on. And at one point, Finn chats with the woman, and Jake and Dale make fun of him with a few others, and they see Beverly acting in a bachelor show. And Beverly's roommate chats with Finn, and she kisses him, and Beverly walk to talk in the forest. It's kind of a tongue twister there, as he asks about, did she mean she liked the quiet guy in the middle of the back seat? And we get to Monday morning, and they hang out in the lake, and he stays at her apartment, and he gets up with her for class, and they go to school. As she goes to class, Dale and Finn go up to Jake and ask him how she was with him, but he doesn't say and goes to class. And when he gets there, he sits on next to one of his housemates and falls asleep in class. And the movie goes on to credits at this point. And this climax was good. It was a good time at the movies. But it's not great like I remember when I saw it theatrically back in 2016. Now it's time for my rating. I'll give this movie a 7.6 out of 10. I do like the characters, as they will have a brighter futures in their careers, while director Richard Linklater does a good job with the writing as well as the camera, as this is pretty good shotting. The shots are pretty good in my opinion, as I was entertained from start to finish, but I wouldn't necessarily own this on Blu-ray. I was getting vibes from Dazed and Confused, which was a good 100 minutes, while this was almost 2 hours, as it's a little bit too long. And I believe 15 minutes of this could have been cut out, as it may not be Richard Linklater's best work, but at the end of the day, it was entertaining. The movie was at times hilarious, with some good chemistry between the actors. And I did like the movie between not a hell of a lot like Dazed and Confused, as this is a recommendation. And this is a pretty good movie, but it's not as great as I remembered, in my opinion. And it's a good time at the movies. So I'd like to thank you guys for joining me, and next time I will be back with, let's see here, Last Flag Flying. And until then, everybody wants some.